All right, I'll line that up. Okay, anyway, do you have the book with you?
Yeah, I guess I should just pull immediately to part 5.
Yeah, pull immediately to part 5. So
That
yeah,
is part 8, Jason, right there. That's the mom from part 7 getting stabbed for the chest.
that did happen.
That's the room covered in blood in part 6. That's Jason holding the severed arm in part 6. Okay, there's one of the posters for part 5. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, Tommy. But yeah, you just about ready to go?
I dropped the thing. Hang on. Okay, now reopen up to part 5 because I put a bookmark in the stats.
Excellent.
By which I mean a random fake magic card that's one of those bonus things I throw at the end of the pack that you can't use because it's just reminder text.
Okay. It's not that one you showed us yesterday.
I don't remember showing any. Oh no, I don't have an Esmeralda Monte Carlo card.
Okay. Okay. Someday, maybe.
If I ever decide to build one.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I think we're all ready to go. You all set?
No, yes.
Okay. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and William, why are you still here?
I've been asking myself the same thing for the past 500 years.
But William, why are you still here? We already talked about the Friday the 13th movies. We ended on a movie called The Final Chapter.
Well, I felt it was time for a new beginning.
Oh, that's how they get away with it. Hey, we're still in the month of October. We're still talking about Friday the 13th, the franchise. Okay, let's go on to part 5 then. William, part 5, A New Beginning. We watched it.
Genuinely, do we want to get our thoughts first or background about the movie?
Background.
They genuinely did believe that part 4 was going to be the last one.
Yes.
They genuinely believed that. And then the movie made a lot of money opening weekend. So Frank, the producer, got a call from Paramount Monday morning and said, make another one. but the series is over. Yeah, but it made money. Make another one.
Yeah. Which is so funny that they just called it A New Beginning. So it's like, oh, that's how they get away with it. So whatever.
Apparently that wasn't even going to be... They followed the title last minute because they're just like, okay, so what the fuck do we call this? A New Beginning.
They should have called... They should have called it Ethel's Bad Day.
Everyone had a bad day in that movie.
Yeah, but especially Ethel.
You know what? You know how movies have, like, when they are filming a movie, they won't just call it, like, the actual title when they're filming it because they want to avoid paying, like, different fees while they're filming. So they give it a fake name, like Blue Harvest or
Blue Harvest. I was going to say, yeah, that's the famous one.
You want to know what the code name for this movie was?
I gotta know.
Repetition.
Once again, they're very aware of what they're doing.
You kind of have to be.
No, yeah, you definitely have to be. So yeah, part 5. This is the goofy one. I say that as it's the goofy one when really they're all pretty much goofy ones, but like I don't know.
This is the black sheep for the franchise for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's definitely that was definitely something I was expecting, like from what I could see from people being like, yeah, this one sucks. And I'm like, okay. But even with that said, I kind of love this one just because it is so stupid at times. Like, the tone of it is so vastly goofy that I'm just like, man, how can I hate this, you know?
The plot kicks off because of a chocolate bar.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the movie starts off with what you think is Jason's resurrection. It's just a dream sequence, but we don't know that yet. But it's like the one scene with Corey Feldman returning as the great character of Tommy Jarvis, who I kind of figured would play a bigger role in these movies, but like...
He feels like a side character in this one the most.
Yes.
Like, he has more to do in part 4 and 6.
Yes.
But this one, he just kind of gets sidelined until the end when he has to make the save.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely feels yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This is the most side character-ish where he feels in this movie.
It's nice that they tried.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I get the idea of him being like kind of this quiet, timid character, except when he beats the shit out of people. But like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something a little more. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's like, to get into like spoilers real quick, they're trying to set him up to become the next Jason, but they don't really go hard enough in on that until the very end. That makes it feel kind of just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when we get to part 6, they just say, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no. Well, see, that's the interesting thing is like as this movie was going along, I was like, okay, they didn't make a big deal out of bringing back Jason. Like he just sort of appears at one point. And so I'm thinking to myself, they might be going for a twist then with Jason. And I'm thinking, maybe it's Tommy because, you know, all the bodies are in Tommy's bedroom. Tommy's kind of this weird, timid character who sometimes has bouts of anger. Like there's that scene where they go to breakfast and like Eddie messes with him and he fucking launches Eddie like upside down and just starts beating the shit out of him. It's like, okay, maybe Tommy is possessed by Jason or something. But regardless, Tommy is the one who's doing all the killings, right?
Nope.
No.
They do the Scooby-Doo thing where it's like, it's the one guy that was in the beginning of the movie that you forgot about.
Yeah. Well, so the first kill of the movie is Joey when Vic just kind of gets pissed off.
Really mad for no good reason.
Okay. Well, actually, we should probably establish. So Tommy's in a mental institution. The worst mental institution I've ever seen in a movie ever.
It's like a troubled youth home more than like it is like an asylum.
Yeah.
It's like a home for wayward teens, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, but like Matt, the caretaker, fucking idiot. He's just like, oh yeah, we don't want to put too much pressure on these teens. And it's just like, dude, you're giving the kid with anger issues an axe to chop up wood. And you're letting Tommy, the guy who killed Jason in the last movie, you're allowing him to be in his room with a weapon. It's like, yeah, there's that scene where like Tommy's like establishing himself in the bedroom and like he pulls out a knife and I'm like, that shouldn't be allowed. Like, what are you doing? I thought this was a home for him to get better. Like, what is this?
He still has the same mask from part 4 though.
Oh, I love that part. Because like that's when Reggie the Reckless hides out in his closet, scares him with a Halloween prop, and then Tommy gets back at him. But yeah, using the alien mask from the last movie. That was a nice callback.
And Reggie, the kid from Different Strokes.
Oh, that's what he's from.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. He's moving up in the world to Friday the 13th, Part 5.
We get like the weirdest connections with people in this franchise. We get Crispin Glover, Kevin Bacon, the Different Strokes kid, Betsy Palmer.
Yeah. We just get everybody. We get Ethel and her son Junior, who established themselves. I love Ethel and Junior. They're like my favorite characters in the whole movie. This time.
I knew you were gonna love them.
I love Ethel.
Because I forgot about them from the first time I watched the movie, and then it's like, oh, this is a character. She goes up to the cop and says, "If you don't do something about this, I got a bomb on me. I'll blow you all up."
Yeah, and the cop's just
like,
okay, crazy Ethel.
He doesn't believe her, obviously. There's no way she has a bomb.
And then Junior's just like, "You tell him, Ma."
You shut up. Okay, Ma. You ain't so pretty either. I know.
You big dildo, eat your fucking slop.
But it's the best stew in the world.
Oh,
how can it be slop?
I know it is the best stew in the world. Everybody loves Ethel's stew. Oh, but they're just such crazy characters that like they're such like that's what they are. They're crazy characters, and they bring such levity to this movie that like I just love it. I just love the goofiness that these characters, like even characters who only get one scene, like Joey and Vic, where Joey's just like, you know, asking Vic, like,
he really wants him to have that chocolate bar.
He really wants him to have that chocolate bar. And Vic is just getting angrier and angrier, and to the point that Vic just takes the axe and fucking murders the shit out of Joey. It comes out of nowhere, but like, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm totally 100% down for this. This is so insane. And then and then Joey's just a bloody pulp on the ground with like a blanket over him, and then we get the best paramedics in the world coming up to him, and one of the paramedics is just like, well, what do we got here? He lifts up the cover, everybody can see Joey, and they all just
pussies.
Like, yeah, bunch of pussies.
As Roy is having a heart attack over it too.
Yeah, Roy. Oh my god, it's again, like, it's so goofy. Like, that's the one thing I love about this movie. Can it get a little dreary at points and just kind of boring? Yes, but I feel like this movie is definitely at its goofiest, and I feel like intentionally and unintentionally, like, it's a little mix of both, you know?
And it's like, so we'll probably mention this again, but it's like, quality-wise, on this rewatch, a lot of the movies are kind of very similar quality-wise to the point where it really just is personal preference.
Yeah, oh yeah, very much so.
Like, I have, like, my ranking list on Letterboxd now that I've been going through, but it's like, it's still kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
That, like, some of them might as well just be tied.
Yeah, we're gonna get to part 8 later on, which that's like the first movie to kind of break the 6 out of 10 streak I've been giving these movies, but like even then, it's a very loose 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10 area. Like, I can't really, like, I can say that one's my least favorite so far. Little spoilers there, but I'll explain later. But even then, like, it's really not that much different than what we've been getting with the other movies. Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, most people would rank either Part 5 or Part 8 towards the bottom, which I understand. You rank Part 5 a lot higher than most people. I rank 8 higher than most people. But, you know, which that's going to annoy people. Like, oh, this guy likes Part 5. Oh, this guy likes Part 8. Burn them at the stake.
We're just all hot takes this episode.
It's like, you know, when I see people going against the grain on this franchise, I think that's kind of based. Oh, you put Part 5 at number 1? I don't agree with you, but that's based.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I want to meet the Chad who puts Part 9 at the top. I want to meet that guy.
That guy has a story to him, whoever that guy is.
We haven't gotten to that movie yet.
No.
But, that guy is just... That guy has to exist, and he has to be a Chad.
Yeah, like, he just has to be... And he has a whole story to him. I'm dying to hear someday.
Oh, you put Part 6 at number 1? How original! I also put Part 6 at number 1, but we'll get that.
Yeah, I'm also at Part 6 number 1. Anyway...
Well, damn, it's like that's the popular opinion or something.
Oh, if only that's true.
How do you feel about the guy that just randomly pulls up to the diner that we never saw before?
So Billy, the one who's like doing coke in his car and he's like talking to what's her face, the waitress. I'm pretty sure that guy was at the very beginning as like one of the helpers at the halfway house. He was like, because that guy was also had like a similar mustache, similar hairstyle, similar pervy nature to him. But I mean, even still, he shines in his second scene. Like, even if that's not him at the beginning, like Billy in the scene in the car, whole mama, I can't even begin to describe the sounds he makes when he's doing coke. Like, it's like I said, this is a goofy fucking movie. And even then this scene is like pushing the limits, you know?
Speaking of him doing coke in his car, I have a quote from the actor who played that character.
Please.
And I showed you this quote earlier.
You did.
Bob DeSimone, if that's how it's pronounced, I probably butchered that. Part 5 was a set that was riddled with cocaine. It was funny. My scene in the car right before I got the axe in my head, that was basically improvised. The script was just said, Billy pulls up and waits outside. No dialogue or anything. Danny said, why don't you just get high in the car and do what you want? So there I am at 3 o'clock in the morning, snorting this baby laxative called Minetta, which they used to cut cocaine, and I think I was the only person on that set not snorting the real thing. Incredible.
Amazing. I mean,
also, the actress who played Tina in the movie, which one was Tina?
Was that's not the waitress? It was that?
No, I think that was Laura or something, or Lana.
Laura,
something like that.
Tina was, because I'm thinking Tina is well, I'm thinking of Tina from Part 7, but no, that's later. That not yet, Minion, not yet. Tina was Oh, was she the girl who's always having sex with that other crazy person?
Maybe.
She's
Fact.
She's the
Do I
one who gets
know-
the hedge clippers to the eyes.
Yeah. Do I know
Okay.
why she got the part?
I have a pretty good idea looking at Letterboxd, but please tell the listeners.
Her name is Debbie Sue Voorhees.
Yeah.
That's the reason she got a audition in the first place. Like, her name is literally Voorhees. All right, sign her up.
That's amazing. Incredible. Yeah, I think she is the one who like is always like having sex with the other teenage boy, and she's the one who gets the hedge clippers to the eyes. She looked a lot like Linda Blair when I was watching this movie. I'm like, you look shockingly like Linda Blair when I was getting PTSD to The Exorcist 2.
Holy shit, a white woman.
Listen, man, I have my listen. When I recognize people, I have to point it out, even though that's not the same actress. She just looks a lot like Linda Blair. I thought. I don't know. But yeah, she gets hedge clippers to the eyes, and then her partner in crime, sex crime that is, he gets a belt wrapped around his head and
just gets his head crushed.
It just gets his head crushed. Very creative kill.
Yeah, the makeup there's really good too.
Very good. Yeah, I like it. I think it's very cool.
For this movie's fault, it does have some really cool kills.
Oh yeah, very much so. I like the hedge clippers to the eyes. I like the belt to the eyes.
Fucking Junior's death.
Junior's death. I love the scene where he's just throwing a shit fit on the motorcycle. He's like,
and then just slap.
And then just whack. And Ethel's like, come eat your slap. And then Ethel gets a butcher knife to the face and she drowns in her own stew as she's crushing a tomato.
About that. There's an anecdote about that one.
Please.
So from the actress, I think the most direction I ever received during part 5 was how to squish a tomato. In my death scene, I was supposedly making stew and then a cleaver in my face or something, and then they cut to my hand and I'm squishing a tomato while I die. Those are the shots that these movies are about. Honestly, that is my truthful recollection. I remember they were like, no, squeeze it this way. We did far more takes of just that one shot than of anything else in the entire movie.
Honestly, I buy that. It was a very good tomato squeeze.
Nobody can squeeze a tomato like Ethel.
Yeah. R.I.P. Ethel. Well, I mean, there's also the scene of Demon, Reggie the Reckless's older brother, dying in an outhouse. The second funny toilet scene in a Friday the 13th movie thus far, where he's taking a shit, starts harmonizing with his girlfriend on the other side. She gets her neck slit, and then quote unquote Jason comes up and starts stabbing, like, what was it, like a fence post or something, like through the outhouse, right?
Oh yeah, God, like that sequence.
Yeah, like, and then he dies in an outhouse. What a way to go. Poor Demon. That's his name.
Yeah. Honestly, though, one of the coolest characters in the movie.
I agree. He's played by Miguel A. Nuñez Jr. I think that's how you say his name. Let me just...
He had a quote in here somewhere, too.
He was in the first Scooby-Doo movie, written by James Gunn. He was in Return of the Living Dead. He was in Lethal Weapon 3. What a career.
From Miguel A. Nuñez.
Yeah.
Part 5 was one of my very first jobs, and I was absolutely terrified. Every minute of the day, I was totally green. I didn't know anything, but Danny was awesome. He let me make up the character's whole look myself. I did it all. I created all the hair, my clothes. I really took Demon seriously. He made the look himself. I thought that if his father didn't want to see him, he had to be out there in order to make his father not want to hang out with him.
No.
The song that I sing when I'm sitting in that house, Ooh Baby, I wrote that. That wasn't even the script. Like, he ad-libbed all that shit.
Amazing. No wonder I love this movie. It's so ad-libbed. This is a franchise for the people, let me tell you.
I mean, clearly.
Clearly.
How much these movies make.
Very, very, a lot. I'm sure he was terrified because everybody but him was on coke.
I got 2 good quotes from the people that did the Jason in this movie.
Okay, please.
From Tom Morgan, who was the guy in the actual master and the stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Jason is a little stranger than your average day job. And from Dick Weiland, do we just want to say who the killer is now?
Yeah, we might as well.
It's Roy Burns, the paramedic at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the series at all when I got the film. All the casting directors said to me was, "The children will love you." A franchise for the people.
A franchise for the people.
But yeah, the killer in this movie is Roy Burns, the paramedic, who is apparently, we don't find this out until the very end, was Joey, the guy that died because of Chocolate Bar's father, who never told anyone he had a kid. So there's no way for you to solve the mystery. It's just there. And it's like, it's so unclear who it even is when he gets unmasked at the end. It's like, who is that?
Yeah.
So they have to remind you at the end.
Well, that's the thing is like I was saying throughout the movie, I'm like, oh, you know what would be a great twist is if Tommy did it. But then it's like, no, it was Roy, you idiot. You didn't see that coming. It's like, okay, just because I didn't see it coming does not make it a good twist. And
it's like, I think they're trying to like frame Tommy too, but they don't really go hard enough in on it.
I know, but then they still have him do that weird shit at the very end anyway. So like, it just doesn't make any sense. Which I get it.
They had the template for what they wanted to do, but then they just didn't do it.
No, they did not. It was they did not for sure. I want to talk about.
They sure tried.
They sure tried.
Also, a quick note: the stunt coordinator for the movie was Dick Warlock.
No kidding. Who's that?
I forget, but I see his name a lot in horror movies. And his name is Dick Warlock, so he has to be good at his job.
I'm glad you brought that up, just purely for the fact that you said his name.
Yeah, we got to mention Dick Warlock.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about Violet's death. Violet, the punk rocker character.
With playing the pseudo echo song, His Eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Which you can only find on Spotify in a live version for some reason. I think they made that song for the movie, but it's never been released otherwise, except live.
Interesting. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good song. I mean, it was trashy 80s music, but I like trashy 80s music. But she also has a bit of a dance scene where she's, dancing like a robot.
Yeah.
But it's no Crispin Glover.
They should, those two should have dated.
They should have had a dance-off.
Yeah.
They should have had a dance-off, went on a date, bonked, and then Jason killed them. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have done that. Anyway, yeah, and then do we want to get into the climax where Jason, well, again, quote unquote Jason, Roy is going around really starting to kill people. Reggie and Pam are the ones who we're focusing on, running away because Tommy walks off. This is what I'm saying. Tommy at some point walks off, and I'm thinking, okay, we haven't seen him for a while, but we see this Jason-like character. It has to be Tommy. But then Jason, quote unquote Jason, hashtag Roy, runs into the barn and is chasing Pam and Reggie, and then Tommy just appears. And then it's nope, wasn't Tommy. It was Roy.
And it's you can tell they were trying to go in that direction, but they just didn't give enough focus.
No.
We needed one or two more scenes of Tommy having the Jason flashes, or having look at a knife weird, or pick up the mask, because he apparently has it on him.
I mean, apparently that's what that. I mean, because they have that scene at the beginning where he has a nightmare of discovering Jason, but again, nothing comes of that. It's just there to have Corey
until the very
for
end.
A scene. Yeah, until the very end.
I also got a nice quote here from our boy Roy, Dick Wyand, I think that's how it's said.
Mm-hmm.
Even by the time we shot my death scene, they still weren't sure how they were going to explain the revelation of my identity. In the original ending, my head was supposed to go careening down some walkway or something. They even made a plaster cast of my head. But then they changed the script, and I died falling out of the barn onto a bed of spikes. And I wanted to make it even more horrible death. I wanted to have my eyes open, but they didn't want to hear it. All they did was glue these fake spikes to my chest, which were hell getting off, by the way. And you can even see in the picture that the damn spikes are bent. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, because apparently Roy has molded this bald cap over him, so then you don't know that it's actually him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did his research on what Jason looked like, I guess.
Just so he could fool well, he's just doing this to fool the audience, but like I don't know, like anybody in real life in the universe of the movie, would they really fall for this? I just it's kind of hard.
The scene with the sheriff earlier is like, it's Jason Voorhees, like Jason's dead. It can't be. And then they never do anything else with that.
Well, that's the thing is like, that's the thing I've noticed with a lot of with like, you know, going through these movies, it's kind of hard to tell how popular Jason is within the universe of characters. Cause like some characters know who he is. Most don't, you know, like it's kind of hard to figure out how famous are these murders, you know, like
it's like a local thing, basically.
It is a local thing. But again, like even local people tend to not really remember these kinds of things, and like how long is it between each movie?
Yeah, that's part of it, because it's like we don't actually know how long there is between a lot of them. Like I think between part 4 and 5 it's 5 years, but then like we don't know how long it is between part 5 and 6. We don't know how old Tommy actually is. I can assume he's in his early 20s.
Right.
But it's like, okay, he was 12 in part 4, so I guess he's 17 now in part 5. How old is he in part 6? I don't know. How long has it been? And then we don't know how long it's been between part 6 and 7 at all, or part 7 and 8.
Yeah, it's just...
Which at that point, because like I figured out, okay, part 1's 79, so part 2 is 84, and 3 and 4 take place immediately after. 5 years later, now it's 89 for part 5, I guess. So then I guess part 6 takes place sometime in the 90s?
Even though it still looks like the 80s?
And for some, I guess as far as we know, part 7 and 8 could very well be in the 2000s.
Again, it still looks very 80s.
Even though we also have like a hard date in Jason X of when that stuff is happening.
But that's like the far off future.
Well, it starts out in like times we know, because he has to get, spoiler, he's going to get cryo frozen at some point.
Right, of course.
Yeah, I mean, how else do you do it?
Yeah, exactly. How else? But yeah, no, it's weird, and I get that. That's fine.
It's these movies were only ever greenlit after the last one made money, so they never actually knew they were going to make another one until they made money.
Yeah, they're not really putting on any thought into the continuity, and that's fine. Like as long as the movie itself is fun, which part 5, I had a ton of fun with part 5. Like it was so fucking goofy to the point that I didn't really care about the inconsistencies. Like Tommy in this movie looks nothing like Corey Feldman. So like that's just funny when like Corey Feldman in the dream, and then immediately some random dude in glasses wakes up, and I'm like, oh, that's Tommy. Oh, good one, movie. You really got me. You really convinced me there.
You know, I got a quote here from Bruce Green. I don't know which role he was, if he was like behind the scenes or something. He has a quote about Danny, the director. You have to spend time setting characters up. To me, that's what it's all about. In part 5, we didn't set any of these characters up. Danny didn't have any interest in that. I don't want to say negative things about him, but I think the crudeness of the film came from him. I think that's due to his coming out of porn.
Oh, I was going to say, looking at his Letterboxd account, one of the movies he is credited of directing is Pixeled Out.
Yeah, I don't think that surprises you to find out.
No, it does not. Not in the slightest.
There's also randomly a quote in here from Sean Cunningham. And he said it's just about like when they did the TV version of the first movie, that they basically didn't have to cut anything out. Which tells you something that even by the mid-'80s, part 1 was starting to look more tame.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Because this is 85, so this is only 5 years after part 1. And already, they're starting to it's starting to show its age. That's actually really fascinating.
Like, he's literally just said, we only had to cut out 22 seconds.
Amazing. Those vital 22 seconds. Oh, I mean, when we'll get to part 7, those would be vital seconds, but that's for part 7.
I mean, I guess like you can kind of say like the philosophy is starting to change. There was less emphasis on kills in part 1. It was more just the anticipation leading up to it. Yes. Whereas by this point, no, it's the kill.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is where I'm starting to get the idea of why these movies are so popular. Like the brutal, gory kills. That's what it's all about.
Because we're starting to get to the point now where the kills are getting more creative each time, and they have to start asking themselves, how hasn't Jason killed someone yet? Which they do say that in part 6.
Right,
There's a quote in here about that.
Right, okay. Well, let's talk about we got to talk about our favorite kill and our favorite crazy moment. We got to keep that going.
Favorite kill. Oh boy.
Yeah, favorite kill.
Honestly,
you go ahead.
You go first? Okay. Honestly, Junior on the motorcycle.
Okay, that's a good one.
Just the fucking, he's just having a shit fit, and all of a sudden, swamp.
Yeah, no, you know what? I agree. It's good. I might be more partial to the belt kill when Eddie like gets the belt wrapped around him.
That's a good one too.
I kind of like that one. It's pretty good. But the chopping off of Junior's head, also classic.
I mean, I can go with either one of these. That's probably my second favorite. So like, they're both good.
They're both very good. I agree.
Favorite weird moment? Fuck, that's a hard one. The entire movie.
Yeah, I mean, if I really had to pick a specific one, though, I'm gonna go with Billy doing coke in the car. Like, that scene's just magical.
I just remembered a good one.
Okay.
The inexplicable random Italian gangster teens.
Very nice.
Fucking forgot about those guys until just like now. Like the dude who just like randomly starts singing the song, "Car's not starting, gonna kick your ass."
Yeah.
Gonna fucking kill you. It's just,
what
the fuck?
Oh yeah, because like that one of them gets like a flare gun in the face and like his head burns up. Yeah, no, that's good. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Billy in the car doing coke. That there's just something magical about that scene that I love it so much.
The fact that they literally just introduced that character just to kill them.
Yeah, they do that a lot in these movies. Like there's that one character who's just like, who you think Jason's like out in the chicken yard with like Ethel and Junior, and then he just comes up to the door and he's just like, "Ma'am, I need a meal. Can I work for it? I
haven't eaten 5 days."
Just random stranger coming up and she's just like, "All right, clean the chicken shit out of the chicken coop." He's like, "Okay," and that's the end of that scene. And then that character's just there, and then that character just gets killed off later. It's like, what a useful character he was.
I mean, yeah, it's perfect.
I agree. I don't know if I really have anything else to say about part 5. It's just, I mean,
is there Coroner's report?
Yeah, Coroner's report.
Production budget $2.2 million, so less than the last time.
Okay.
Shot in Camarillo, California.
Oh.
Tagline: "If Jason still haunts you, you're not alone." U.S. box office 21,930,418. Opening weekend 8,032,883.
Okay, so less than the last one, right?
Yeah, less than last time.
Okay.
Which, I mean, most people put this towards the bottom of the list, so like you can kind of see that.
Yeah, because it's like the immediate return after it was said like, "Hey, the last movie was the final chapter," and then it's like, "Nope, it's coming back." I'm sure people were like, "Really? Are you kidding me?"
They still went to go watch it anyway.
Yeah, they still went to go see it. You motherfuckers.
But yeah, I mean, it at least did well enough that they could still greenlight part 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a gap though, I believe. No, actually, never mind. There was a gap between. The gap was between 6 and 7.
Yeah, so this was 85. Part 6 was 86. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about part 5.
You can also, and I think part of it also is just like in the climate, because like around this point, Elm Street was now established.
Sure.
Because that was in 84 when the first Friday movie came out. I believe 85 would have been either part 3 or part 2. I don't know if part 2 was immediately after the first one. I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, look, I understand why people would probably put this towards the bottom. I understand that. I understand why people put Halloween part 5 at the bottom, but like, I fucking love Halloween part 5. I think it's just so stupid and goofy in that movie that like, I kind of love it. Halloween 5 gave us Cookie Woman. Like, I can't not love it, you know? And this movie is the same. It gave us the Billy Coke scene. Like, really, how can I not love it, you know?
Okay, Elm Street 2 was 85, so...
Okay,
never mind. Neither of them had the popular entries out that year.
Okay, so listen, 85 was the year of Back to the Future. I totally get it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And it's like, to go back, it's like, yeah, I also put this one closer to the bottom, but it's like, I don't hate it.
Sure. Yeah.
Quality-wise, it's still comparable to a lot of the others.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, this is the second movie in this franchise where Jason is supposed to be the main killer, and Jason's not the main killer. There are 2 movies, at least, in this series where Jason is not the main threat, which is really funny.
Because he didn't exist yet, but
Right. And then this one, he doesn't exist because he's dead, but they explain it.
And then he shows up as a ghost and like nods his head at Tommy, saying, "Now it's your turn." And then Tommy doesn't listen. So anyway, we had to bring Jason back.
Yeah, we had to. We had to. I mean, come on. It's Jason. How could you not bring him back? So they named part 6, aptly named Jason Lives.
Which, so I do have some quick related anecdotes, and they both have to do with God.
Please.
So Tom Shepard, the guy who played Tommy in the 5th movie, initially he was offered the part to come back for part 6, but he wasn't sure if he really wanted to do that because he was apparently he worked for a youth group, so he was kind of like, he was very religious.
Sure.
And it was like, okay, I'm willing to do it, but I need to really know if they really want me. So he told his agent to give them a higher price number for him to come back. And then it said, okay, either they really want me to come back and I'll do it, or they don't, and I'm going to go become a pastor. So he did not come back for part 6 because he found God.
Oh, no wonder there's a different actor in this movie playing Tommy.
And the director for this movie, for part 6, Tom McLaughlin, also a religious man, original tagline, he wanted to like play with some of that. So the original tagline for the movie was "Jason has risen." Getting some irony in there.
Please,
and Paramount said, "Okay, don't be too blasphemous." So they changed it to "Jason Lives." But it's like, what a guy, Tom McLaughlin.
That would have been amazing.
And like, Tom also wrote and directed the movie. So he had more control over it, which I think shows in the quality of the film.
I've been noticing that, like a bunch of these movies have the director also writing the script for these movies. I've been noticing that, like with these later ones, and I think a couple of the previous ones as well might have had that too. But I've just been noticing that it says written and directed by this new director, you know.
And he does like give a good backstory for himself and how he came into it.
Sure.
He grew up in Culver City, and his dad went to USC Film School in the 40s, so he had the MGM backlots to play in when he was a kid.
Nice.
On weekends, he jumped the fence and bring his friends, and they make semi-horror movies or James Bond movies or A Hard Day's Night. When he was 19, he moved to Paris, where he studied fencing, aerobatics, modern dance, and classical dance.
As
he
you
was
do.
Right across the street from a cinema that would change movies 3 times a day. So all these years were just the great experience of soaking up everything, art and film. He came back to America to make silent visual movies. And then he went on tour as a one-man performer. What a guy.
Oh my God.
He did pantomimes like Sid Caesar and Red Skelton used to do. And he tried to make it relevant to the new generation. He got a partner and put together the LA Mime Company. And eventually, Dick Van Dyke came and saw us and asked us to be regulars on Van Dyke and Company.
Wow. This guy's...
And like suddenly... And this was in the 70s, and suddenly he's directing Lucille Ball, Freddie Prinze, and Carol Burnett.
Oh my God.
He got an Emmy nomination.
Oh my God.
And then he was in the Writers Guild of America.
Huh?
Then he was writing comedy scripts, and then he did a horror comedy film called One Dark Night in 1983. He did it for less than $1 million, but it opened pretty well given where it was playing. And that's how he met Frank Mancuso Jr. to get the job for part 6.
Wow.
What a fucking legend.
No wonder part 6 is considered the best. Like, this dude's history is nothing to sneeze at.
And it's like he said, okay, we want to bring Jason back, but we want to put some jokes in and make it funnier. And the guys at Paramount said, you can do that, just don't make fun of Jason, which he didn't.
No.
And he wanted to he wanted to incorporate more classical horror elements. Like, I remember hearing somewhere it said that like he wanted to make the movie as if you could watch it in black and white and it would fit. Not sure. I don't know if they say that in here, but like I've heard that before. In some scenes, I do get that vibe, especially whenever there's like mist or like a lot of water.
Yes.
And like the big obvious comparison is Jason comes back the way Frankenstein comes back.
Oh, yeah, no. So, yeah, let's talk about the opening scene where Tommy, for some reason, is just like, all right, random character who's going to die in 5 minutes. We got to make sure Jason's dead. And so
I kind of get it. It's a little silly, but I kind of get it.
No, they have to set it up because they have to bring back Jason. So I get why. I'm just saying within universe, kind of stupid. But you know what? I'll allow it because the movie is so goofy. But yeah, he takes. So this is the scene where like he takes like a metal pole from the fence and just stabs Jason's corpse with it. Jason's corpse, by the way, looks really cool because it's like covered in bugs and worms and cobwebs. It's very gothic, very like classically horror.
It's like a fucking labyrinth in there.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that metallic pole attracts lightning, causing the spike to causing the lightning to bring Jason back to life. I don't know, science.
It's Frankenstein. That's the point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So Jason comes back to life. Womp womp. and he does his first kill is that random dude who you knew was gonna die, and he just punches a hole in the dude, punches a hole in his chest, and rips his heart out. And then what else but a James Bond parody?
I knew you were gonna love that because like that's the part I always remember.
Oh
it's
my
like
god!
At this point, because there's even a quote saying from him saying, you know, at this point, Jason's kind of feels like he's become the James Bond of horror. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so they zoom into Jason's eye, and Jason's also in his eye, and it looks like it's a gun barrel, and he just slashes, and like blood starts pouring out. It's a great parody. I love it. It's so good. It's so encompasses what this movie is about. It's a celebration of Friday the 13th, essentially. You know, like this is what these movies have been building up. They've amassed such an audience, such a cultural impact over the years. This movie's meant to celebrate that in a way, in a loving way. You know.
I'm looking for a good quote here from something, but not yet. And it's like they just wanted. He put in all the jokes. He kept Jason serious. He did all the cool different kills. And there's a nice quote here from him saying, I wanted Jason Lives to be more than just teens being chased around by a guy with a machete. I wanted to have car chases and big stunts and cops with guns.
And we get that. Oh, brother, do we get that.
Probably the most iconic scene in the movie. So there's the two guys, Court and his girlfriend, just having sex. And like he comes early because he's a terrible teenager.
Yeah.
And Jason knocks the power out of their RV. They go to reserve power to keep driving. But within that time, Jason sneaks into the RV.
Mm-hmm.
He yoinks the girl out into the bathroom and just shoves her face through the metal wall.
And the imprint of her face comes in, is in the metal.
He fucking just kills Court, and then the truck careens off the path and just crashes and explodes into flames. And then you just get the iconic shot of Jason standing on top of the truck like fucking Superman. You
get Jason popping out of the RV like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And then, he's just standing on top of it. It was Looney Tunes-esque. It was brilliant. Love that scene so much. That might be my favorite crazy moment in the whole movie.
Both the crazy moment and the kill.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree to that because the girl getting like her face imprinted into the wall, like on the outside of the RV, amazing. Like that is an amazing kill.
No blood, but it doesn't need any blood. It's just awesome.
No, it's just awesome. It's just awesome and campy and hilarious, and I love it.
Do you want to know how the guy who played Jason in this movie, CJ Graham, described it?
Please. Actually,
Here's his thoughts on being Jason.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you get to put on a baseball uniform and you're the pitcher in the 9th inning of the World Series. It's an incredible feeling.
Incredible. CJ Graham, I have a bit of a story with him. So a coworker of mine went to a horror con recently within the past couple of months, and they actually met CJ Graham at the convention. And apparently CJ Graham was being kind of a dick to him, like obviously busting his chops, but like in a comedic way, but like it was just really funny. Like he just kept badgering my coworker like for like 10 minutes. It was really funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Damn, you just got shit talked by Jason Voorhees. How do you feel?
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like, there's also other fun characters in this movie. There's Martin, the cemetery groundskeeper, who has some of the best lines.
He breaks the fourth wall.
He breaks the fourth wall. He says,
like, why the guy go? Why they have to go and dig up Jason? Some people have a real sixth sense of entertainment. Looking directly at the audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, this movie feels like a celebration of Friday the 13th, but in a loving way. It's not like trying to parody these movies, be like, oh, this is so stupid. Like, it's actually doing so in a way that feels like it would entertain the audience. Like, it's still making
self-aware, but it knows what it's doing, and it's not disrespecting material. It's like one of the first kills in the movie, other than like the guy with Tommy. It's like the couple's driving down to the camp, and the wife's like, we gotta turn back. Why? Because I've seen enough horror movies to know that a guy in a mask isn't friendly.
Yeah,
you just see Jason standing with the same pole.
Yeah, one, the guy in there, that's Tony Goldwyn, voice of Tarzan in Disney's Tarzan, fun fact. Two,
slash.
Two, yeah, no, in any other movie, like if that line was said in a movie now, I would cringe into infinity, because I hate when movies try to be self-aware, because it feels like the movie like it feels like movies will use self-aware comedy or like referencing like that as like a crutch to be like, this is all we're giving, so laugh, audience, laugh. But you never laugh because it's never funny. Whereas here, like, it's just part of the movie, you know? Like, it actually feels earnest, because like the movie actually feels like it wants to give these entertaining kills and have you like on the edge of your seat, like wondering, oh, what's going to happen next.
Jason rips the guy's arm off so hard that it sends the actual body flying and just slams into a tree.
Yeah. Amazing. Like, that's
the way he hits it is on a smiley face someone carved in.
Oh yeah, that is this movie. Yeah, that's where like it's like the corporate retreat where like people are like playing paintball. Like, yeah. Amazing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's tongue in cheek, but like it's more than just tongue in cheek. Like, it's actually fun. It's an actually fun tongue in cheek movie, and that's what I love about this.
And like you also get like those great moments too, because like with the characterization of Jason here, this is the first zombie Jason movie where he's actually undead for real, which means he just has like, he doesn't even feel pain at this point. Probably he's just super strong and just keeps coming.
Yeah, exactly. So when he gets shot, you're just like, okay, it makes sense that why he's not actually being taken down. Like, he's already dead. Like, there's really nothing you can really do outside of like the extreme possibilities. So it makes sense.
And even when he dies at the end of the movie, he still just opens his eyes back up 20 minutes later.
Exactly. So, but yeah, to go off that corporate retreat, people, like those three people are just walking through the woods, and Jason just like slices all three of their heads at the same exact time.
Yoink.
Yeah, yoink. He comes across. Oh, does he come across? Yeah, he comes across Martin, because this is the scene where Martin goes like, "Does he think I'm a fart head?" Which is like,
and then it cuts to the children saying, "Yes."
Yeah, that was hot dog cut tier.
There's other
moment.
cuts too, just like that kind of. They're more subtle, but there's other comedic cuts. Like Jason throws like something at the one cop's head. Immediately cuts to the sheriff walking into the cabin, but when he does, there's a dartbart right there on the door. There's a dartboard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's a scene where like the boys are just like surrounding Court, like Court's like telling them like an ancient Native American story or something like that, and they're just like, what the hell is this? I forget exactly how that scene played.
If this is the best we got, we're in big trouble.
That kid, oh my god, not to go ahead, but we kind of have to, because I just want to mention that kid later on in the movie when Jason's really going hog wild on the camp and the kids are like screaming their heads off in
Which
the
is
cabin.
Another point we need to talk about too.
Yeah, the camp is actually fully functioning in this movie.
Yeah, it's like the other movies about we're cleaning up the camp to actually get it ready, but then Jason or Pamela kills him beforehand. Here, no, the camp is open. The children are here. The stakes are raised because now there's like actual problem besides just random teenagers.
Yeah, it's like Jurassic World finally opening up the Jurassic Park, except, you know, this movie actually takes advantage of what it's opening up. So, but yeah, there's that scene where the kids are in the cabin and Jason's just going hog wild on the camp counselors. And one of the kids just turns to the other one and goes, "So, what did you want to grow up to be?"
Where were you gonna be when you grew up?
Yeah, that's how he says it. I'm not kidding. I died of laughing. I had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard at that. It was the funniest fucking line in the movie. It was so good. Like, even the kids are like, all right, we're boned.
And then Jason snaps the dad in half like a pretzel.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a great scene. He like takes the dad cop and completely like snaps him in half. Amazing. Oh, let's talk about Martin's death scene when he's just drinking out in the middle of the woods and he looks at the whiskey bottle. He's like, "You're gonna be the death of me." Launches
he throws it, expects it to crash. He never hears a crash. Turns around, Jason has it in his hand.
He crushes the bottle and just stabs Martin to death. Beautiful. Like, see, those are the kinds of kills I love seeing in these movies. Comeuppance kills. It's like, that shows you that the writers took the time to like really think about how they want to kill off these characters. Obviously, this movie does, it doesn't have like every kill means something, like something like, again, like the dad just like bends over backwards. It's like, what was the point of that? I mean,
like,
it looks cool.
That
Don't get me
character
wrong.
was more important, so he probably could have deserved more, but it's still a cool kill.
Oh, incredibly so. But I'm talking about but Martin's death is like, this like, it's a death related to his character. And I like that. I feel that feels like, the movie's actually taking the time to be clever about what it's doing. We don't really get those in any of the other movies, but we'll get to those when we'll get to those. But
how do you feel about Paula's kill?
Paula.
She was the one where like Jason grabs her through the window,
yes,
and then it cuts away, and then when it cuts back, it looks like she exploded, and the room is just covered in blood and guts everywhere.
That was interesting because we didn't actually see anything, but like it is heavily implied of what happened.
Yeah, it's like you get all the blood there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, and there's a nice quote here. Tom McLaughlin told me you wanted Paul's death to be real bloody, but I got a bit too carried away and sprayed blood everywhere. There were brains and guts all over. It was like someone literally exploded in the room.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting because like you don't really see anything. Like you see the aftermath of a kill. And
it gets past the censors.
It gets past censors. So you know what? Like I didn't really think about it at the time, but as I'm thinking about it, and again, as we'll talk about in part 7 with the fucking butchering, like I feel like I appreciate that a little more now because the movie is still giving us something gross and something horrific, but we don't actually see the something gross and horrific. We're just seeing the aftermath. And I still think that can still apply because it's still horrific to think about Jason ripping open this girl so much that there's just nothing left of her. It's just blood and guts everywhere around the cabin.
And you see her fucking brains in some places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, Tommy's actually kind of a character in this one.
Yeah, he's actually doing stuff. No.
He's not in it as much as I thought remember him being, but he's still actually in the movie, contributing.
Yeah.
Honestly, my only real complaint with him is that the romance between him and other girl feels a little too forced, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, there is that scene where she's like, duck down, and she like puts his head like near her crotch, and like,
right, like, just stay down there. Okay.
Yeah, whatever you say.
And then like when their dad sees him and his head just comes up slowly from there, it's like, oh no.
Womp womp. I will admit, the banter between the dad cop and Tommy is a little forced at times. Like, I get it. Like, at first, where like Tommy's just like, Jason's back, and realistically, the cop is just like, all right, this dude's insane. I'm putting you away. But like after a while, I feel like it's the same thing over and over again, where it's just like Tommy's like, you got to believe me. I don't believe you. It's like, maybe if they trimmed that down a little, or if like the cop did eventually like learn, like understand Tommy at some point, then I wouldn't mind it. I just feel like, I know I'm nitpicking Friday the 13th part 6 here, but like, you know what I mean? Like it just feels a little much. Like I feel like it goes on a little too long, that subplot.
He does kind of start to like go more lenient towards the end. It's just that he doesn't meet up Tommy again later because he dies.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, there's another kill. It happened around 8:00. Dad, Tommy was with me that time. And he's like, I have to make sure, stay here. Because at that point, you can tell he's starting to think, okay, there's something going on here.
Yeah, it's
and then
not
he finally sees Jason. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's not like the worst like misunderstanding in a forced misunderstanding in a horror movie. It is, you actually do understand where the dad is coming from. He really doesn't believe Tommy, like, because I mean, realistically, yeah, Tommy so far has been involved with Jason kills twice now. Well, 1.5 technically. So I totally get where he's coming from. It's just they probably could have written it a little better, but then again, this is Friday the 13th Part 6. Like what they do, it's exactly what you'd expect with these movies. Like I think they do it just fine.
There's one thing in here that's mentioned that I'm glad didn't make it into the movie. That they wanted towards the end to introduce Jason's father. I'm glad that didn't make it in because that's just too much.
Yeah, like,
and then it was the question of like, well, then why wasn't he in any of the others? Where is he when Pamela died? Where is he when Jason was dead the first time? Where is he the second time? Where is he now? Just don't do that. That's too much.
Too little, too late. Yeah. If you didn't introduce him now, if you didn't introduce him then, now it would make very little sense. So you're right. I'm glad they didn't like bring him in and make him a character.
The movie also did get some censure by the MPAA, but like it's not as noticeable, at least from what I can tell. So like it got in like the way that some of the kills are done, that it doesn't really matter because like you have the imprint on the wall, which like there's no blood there.
Yeah,
stuff like Paula's where you don't actually see the kill happen.
Right.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
There's no blood in like him getting snapped in half. It still just looks cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So they get around it in ways that work.
Yeah, I agree. I think what this movie does, it does what it could, and I appreciate. This feels like a love letter to Friday the 13th. Like that's what this movie is. It feels like a celebration. So even when things are a little lame, I can forgive it because I still feel the passion that's going into it.
There were some reshoots for the movie towards the end that happened in LA. The rest of the movie was filmed in Georgia. But like even with all that, it still works. Yeah,
I you can definitely tell the movie's starting to lose a little bit of steam at the end when Tommy's just like, "Come on, Jason," and they just have a fight in the water. Like it's not terrible by any means, but you do start to feel like maybe like I said, like it is starting to lose a little steam towards the end. Like, it's not perfect.
How can you lose steam when there's all this fire?
Oh, and all this water. Well, that's the thing. The boat motor death makes no sense because,
it's
like,
cool,
just
though.
at the angle that, like, no, it is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. But, like, at the angle that the motor's at and the angle that Jason and Tommy are at, like, Tommy should be within that motor distance, but then we wouldn't have his scene where, like, he gets with Nikki. Nikki's the blonde girl, right?
I don't remember.
Oh man, we're so terrible at remembering
her name.
We're so terrible at remembering.
There are
these
two
names.
Tinas in these movies. There's a Tina in Elm Street. There's an Alice in the first movie. There's an Alice in Elm Street.
There's a Pam in the last movie that's not Pamela Voorhees. So no, I totally get it. Megan is the girl. Megan's the blonde girl. That's who I'm thinking of. Megan is the girl he ends up with because he was in her crotch for 5 minutes. I don't know.
Like, it's hinted that she has, like, kind of a crush on him when she first sees him in jail at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's slight, but they tried.
They did try. Good job, Part 6.
I mean, okay, we've already established this is our favorite one of the series so far. And that is very much the common opinion.
I agree. I can definitely see this being somebody's favorite movie in the franchise. And thus far, it is my favorite. Like, obviously, I still like 2 somewhat because of that's goofy. So because of their goofy moments. I like Part 5 because of that goofy moments. I like the first one because of how simplistic it is. But like, I would say out of all the ones I've seen thus far, yeah, Part 6 would definitely be my favorite.
Because, like, it just feels like it has the highest quality level.
Yeah.
Like, even remembering what other people say, that, like Red Letter Media said last time when they did the sequels video, they even said, like, yeah, Part 4 is probably the best as a Friday the 13th movie, but Part 6 is just, like, the best as an actual movie.
Exactly. The RV scene. How can you compete with the RV scene? Like, that is amazing.
That was the last scene they shot for the movie, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And apparently, like, there was a fun quote where they mentioned that, like, we didn't have, like, an LA stunt driver or, like, usual staff for that. What we had was a good old boy from Georgia showing up in his Evel Knievel costume, driving the van, and when he came out, he, like, looked a little dazed, like he'd been hit in the head, and just gave his thumbs up.
incredible.
And that was it.
That's incredible.
We had a good old boy from Georgia.
That is Friday the 13th for me. Like, so unbelievably goofy and stupid, but like in a good way. Like, you want to see that. Yeah, I love part 6. I think it is definitely my favorite thus far. It's also, to bring up the Blu-ray, because kind of been forgetting to do that, but like, I mean, they're just nice Blu-rays. There's really nothing else to say outside of them. But like, this is the first of these Blu-rays that doesn't have a reversible slipcover. Like, what you get is what you get. I mean, I do like the Blu-ray cover because it's like the Jason mask, and then you get like the tombstone that says "Jason lives," so it's nice. But I don't know, like, it just doesn't have a reversible slipcover. The first 5 do, though. It's kind of weird.
I don't know how many posts. I don't know if it's because there just wasn't another poster that was made from the movie when it came out.
Yeah, I guess not.
That might be part of it.
I mean,
and honestly, even if there was, I'd probably still keep just that as the default poster anyway.
Exactly. It's very encompassing of what the movie is about. The tombstone saying Jason lives, the shadowy, there's a bunch of, like we were saying with the gothic horror, like there's a bunch of mist like surrounding this Jason mask. Like, it works. So yeah, I totally love it.
Part 6, Jason Lives, production budget $3 million.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shot in Covington, Georgia, with reshoots in LA. Release date August 1st. Oh no. Box office 19,470,057. Opening weekend 6,750,847. So unfortunately, it went down from last time.
Okay.
But it has since gotten a much bigger cult following.
That seems to be the thing.
It still largely got negative reviews because all of them have, but it got more positive notes than usual.
I mean, yeah, like that I can definitely see, because again, like the kills, the scene, the constant scenes, like everything, even if it doesn't come together perfectly by the end, it comes together with passion. Like, this is the first time where I feel like serious passion went into this movie for, like, for Friday the 13th and what it represents. Like, this is the celebratory movie that this franchise deserves. So yeah, I love it. I think it's a lot of fun.
This was already my favorite one beforehand, and I was worried that I wouldn't like it as much on the rewatch. No, I like it more now.
Yeah, no,
it holds up.
Yeah, I can definitely see it holding up. Like, I can definitely see myself returning to this movie, and like the things that bothered me before won't really bother me again in any major capacity, because I understand what it's going for. And I understand it's a Friday the 13th movie. Like, this isn't like Evil Dead good. Like, this is Friday the 13th good. Like, it's not amazing, but for what it is, I respect it. So
it's like, it's not McDonald's, it's Five Guys.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take that. It is Five Guys, because I love Five Guys.
Comparing these movies to fast food, as I'm holding a Jersey Mike sandwich right now.
Yeah, the Italian. I remember you said at the beginning.
Yes, with lettuce, pickles, and jalapeno.
Oh, dude, jalapeno. Oh, interesting. I don't think I get jalapeno on my Italian whenever I order Jersey Mike's. I'm a spicy boy. Okay. I mean, I'm a spicy boy too, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
That's just what I usually put on a sandwich when I order a sandwich.
Okay. Oh, so you add in special instructions to say, like, please add jalapenos.
Well, they say, what do you want in the sandwich? Just say lettuce, pickles, and jalapeno.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just usually go for the usual. Like, I just go. You just go
Mike's way.
I just go Mike's way. I like it Mike's way. I don't get it with
Mike.
I don't get it with white bread. I get it with the rosemary cheese bread, because that's really good.
I should try that.
That's very good, yeah. And I always get like a bag of chips, Pepsi.
I didn't open the bag of chips yet, but I got the spicy dill pickle chips because spicy.
Okay, interesting.
What do you think Jason would order from Jersey Mike's?
He'd order. He'd order the teenagers that work behind behind the counter.
So anyway, now we go from Tom McLaughlin, who had a real passion for it, for the guy who directed Troll. Okay, not to diss John Carl Beekler, because like he does have like a big reputation in like horror communities.
Yeah.
And, like he's mostly known for effects.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you look at his Letterboxd page, he has his special effects game, his makeup credits, his special effects credits. Like, who, brother? Like, look at this.
He was with like the Empire Studio guys. So he worked on like Reanimator.
Yeah.
He worked like stuff like that. He was like with Charles Band, I believe.
He did the visual effects for Sorceress.
Look, we don't need to talk about that one, but like, he has good credits at least.
Yeah,
and,
no,
like,
definitely.
And I'm gonna say I don't blame him for a lot of the faults, for some of the faults of this movie, because MPAA.
Oh, yes.
We'll say now that this movie, more than any, you can really feel them hacking away at it and just censoring everything.
Yeah.
This one, I think, probably got the worst.
Yeah. So, part 7 is a weird one. So, after the part 6, where we're just like, going on and on about how great it is, how much of a celebration it is, like, it feels like a movie made by people who are passionate for this franchise, and the people who are watching it are passionate. Like, it's an all-around good feeling movie. Then we get to part 7, and you're like, this kind of feels more autopilot-ish. Like, nothing's bad, but nothing feels passion towards it. Like, it's just kind of more the same.
It feels like we went back to the quality of part 3 and 4.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels. Yeah, I think that's a pretty apt way of describing it. It feels like a part 3 or 4-esque kind of movie,
and it's just kind of sad because like part 4 was like that formula done at its absolute best as far as I'm concerned. That it's just like that's it, like the logical endpoint of that style. Then you have part 5, which is just so different from everything else, and then you have part 6, which just takes everything up to a higher level.
Yes.
That this just feels like a step backwards.
Yeah, it feels like a step backwards because everything just kind of feels more of the same, outside of the one thing that is not the same.
Which also probably could have made the movie a lot more unique if they focused more on her.
Yeah,
she is the main character, so I get it. It's just that she just doesn't feel like she's doing enough with that gimmick,
right,
to make it really feel. People really only remember this movie for the beginning and the end.
Yeah, so the movie starts off randomly with a narration, which, by the way, the narrator of this movie is the guy who played Crazy Ralph in the first 2 movies.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Then it has the exploding tombstone, which you told me yesterday that was actually the teaser trailer for part 6.
Yeah.
they just put it in this movie randomly. Okay.
I'm gonna say that I feel like the narration, like, it's a fitting summation of who Jason is as a character and what these movies, like, it's a good recap.
It's interesting that you say that, like, part 7 feels like part 3 and 4, because that is true, because this movie starts off with like a recap of what's been happening, and the first few parts loved recapping the previous movie, so it makes sense, because there is a scene at the beginning when, like, it's literally just the climax from part 6. So there you go. Yeah, this is definitely just parts 3 and 4 all over again. Except this time we have Terry Kaiser from Tammy and the T-Rex and Weekend at Bernie's. I know he's from Weekend at Bernie's, but me and you, we know him as the mad scientist from Tammy and the T-Rex.
Best movie ever made.
Yeah, best movie ever made.
Second only to Dear Dictator with Michael Caine.
They are not ready for Dear Dictator, William.
Apparently half of our friends weren't either.
I mean, we were all changed people when we saw Seth Green sucking Katie Holmes' toes.
We were changed people when we saw them listed in the cast on Tubi.
Oh, man. So, Tina is now the main character of this movie, of part 7. So the beginning of the movie was actually a little confusing to me, because at first I thought, when the dock gives way and her dad falls into the water, I thought, the power of Jason killed her drunk, abusive father. But then later on in the movie, then it like flash forwards to when she's a teen / young adult, whatever. Then Terry Kaiser is just like, oh, you have telekinesis. And then she lights up matches on the table. And it's like, oh, wait, so Jason had nothing to do with the death of her father. She did kill her father with telekinesis because telekinesis is in this universe now.
Yeah, the main character of this movie is just Carrie.
Yeah, which... Okay.
I was waiting to see how you'd react to that, because, like, okay, he has no idea that fucking Carrie is now in this movie.
Yeah, no, because again, I thought it was just the power of Jason killed her father, and like, oh, okay, that's stupid, but you know what? I'm used to the stupidity being in these movies. But then it goes a step further, and it's just like, no, there's just straight up a telekinetic character in this movie that's going to fight Jason, and I'm like, oh. Okay. Okay. But
Jason
even then,
Carrie.
But even then, the movie doesn't take that much advantage of this. Because, like, here's something, not to, go ahead and into later on in the movie, but, like, when Terry Kaiser is, like, being kind of, like, weirded out by her, like, he's, like, trying to, like, really play with her emotions. And I'm thinking, okay, I think I know where this is going. So she has these powers. Maybe Terry Kaiser is related to a character that got killed off by Jason in a previous movie, and he's trying to train Tina to be like the character that finally brings down Jason. No, that's not at all what the movie does. Like, Terry Kaiser's just this random dickhead doctor who gets killed by a weed whacker.
And Jason is still just at the bottom of the lake from part 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also, we don't know where timelines are again at this point. We don't know what the gap between 6 and 7 is. We also don't know when, like, those scenes with, like, they're on the boat or whatever when she's a kid, or like, when she's with her dad happened.
Well, that's what, like, I'm saying. Yeah. That's why I was confused. That's why I was confused as, like, okay, did Jason kill her dad, or was that really her, like, using her telekinesis?
Because, like, was this in between, like, part 4 and 6 in that time period when Jason was gone? Was this earlier than that? Where was Pamela? The answer is don't think about it.
Yeah, the movie's not very concerned with what came before it, except for when it actually does show that at the beginning. But it's like, okay, I get it. But so that's the thing, is like, this opening is so bonkers because you're just like, oh yeah, there's a telekinetic character in this movie now. It's like, wow, the possibilities are limitless. And then we just spend the whole movie at this random house. Okay.
And now it just feels like we're watching 2, 3, and 4 again.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, where's this guy? Where's this girl? Where's this guy? Where's this girl? Oh, yeah. Jason killed all of them. Whoopsie doozle.
Whoopsie doodle. Yeah, exactly. And again, they're not terrible kills, but, like, I don't know. These characters are not interesting. They're just stock standard teenage characters that we've seen before in other movies. Like, nothing about them, like, screams interesting. Like, Tommy's no longer here. And fine, okay, we instead have Tina. But it's like, I don't know, like, she's not that interesting. The other teenagers are not interesting. There's especially this one character who's just a gigantic bitch, and that's Melissa, right? Yeah, Melissa, who's just like this weird, like, inconsiderate asshole bitch for no reason. Like, she's just kind of horrible.
She's a girl from Carrie that's really mean to Carrie for no reason.
Yeah, but, like, at least in Carrie, the girl who was mean to Carrie was, like, a student who also went to the same school as Carrie. So, like, she's just bullying her because she sees her every day at school. Whereas here, Tina and Melissa...
You don't know who this is. You have no reason to do this.
Yeah, you've never met this person, and yet you're just bullying them because you're a huge, gigantic, snobby bitch. Like, that's just not interesting. Like, I'm just waiting for this girl to get her comeuppance. And then she does later down the line in the movie. Like, it's just so weird.
And she gets her comeuppance by Jason, not Tina.
Exactly. It's just... I get it. Like, again, I'm going back to nitpicking these movies, but, like, it's little things that, like, part 6 was not perfectly written, but it had an idea of what it wanted to do. Whereas here, we're just dicking around a party for some reason. Like, it just makes no sense. Or it's just not interesting enough. Like, like these characters not interesting enough for me to like really pay attention. Like I was significantly more bored during this movie than I had been previous with any of the other movies. Like probably because yes, this is kind of similar to 2, 3, and 4, but like you showed me 5 and 6. Like impress me now. Like you set up a character with telekinesis and then you do nothing with that. Like that's the frustrating thing until the very end, which we'll get to the ending. The ending is definitely worth the wait ish, but like, you know, like it's just not enough.
And it's also just feels a little less satisfying because of all the censorship from the MPAA.
Let's
like,
talk about that. Yeah.
I showed you the footage of like what they originally wanted to do, like the work print footage. They don't have the real footage anymore because it was destroyed in like a vault purge at one point. Thanks, Paramount.
Yeah, thanks, Paramount.
So you only have these shitty work print copies now. But it's like the sleeping bag kill is like the best example of that. Like, okay, that might be one of the best kills in the movie because it's funny. He just smacks her against a tree and she's dead.
Yeah.
In the original, he smacks her against a tree like 6 times and blood gushes everywhere.
Yeah, that makes it a lot more satisfying. See, that's the thing with this movie is like we talked about it with the first movie, how like, you know, a couple seconds have been shaved down and all of a sudden or a couple of seconds were added back in and all of a sudden it's the unrated version. But like here, those couple of seconds are very vital. Like the kills in this movie can be fun because we've seen similar ones to them before, but like, I don't know, by cutting down these kills, they're less impactful. Like, yeah, the sleeping bag one. I'm just going to say that's my favorite kill in the whole movie, mainly because the idea of like Jason taking someone and whacking them against the tree in a sleeping bag and they're instantly dead is quite comical. Now, I like the one we get in the theatrical version enough because I like the idea of Jason being so strong, he whacks her against the tree once and she's instantly dead. That's both really funny and really encompassing of how strong Jason is. But like, yeah, like you showed me in the original, like unedited version, he does it several times. It's a lot more bloody. It's a lot more satisfying. So something's missing in that scene. And you feel like, huh, that's kind of a shame, you know?
And like you'll notice other more awkward cuts. Yeah, there's a reason why it's so awkward because there was more.
Yeah, there's that scene when Ben, the black guy, he's like getting his head smushed. And I'm like thinking, like, as the scene was going on, I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be really cool is if he like completely flattened his head. Like that could be really fun. But no, he's just kind of squeezing it. You see a little blood and then it cuts away immediately. It's just like, oh, well, that's not satisfying. Like he's just getting his head smashed. Like we've seen this before. That's literally a kill from part 3, except part 3 was funnier because we had the eye poking out.
And then I showed you the original footage. And in that version, he crushes his head flat and blood's everywhere.
Exactly. It looks it looks great. It looks much more satisfying. The one kill that actually pissed me off because it was set up so brilliantly is Terry Kaiser is running in the woods and Jason comes out with a tree saw. Like it looks goofy, but like, okay, now we're going to get like, you know, Terry Kaiser's comeuppance because he's been kind of a dickhead the whole movie. And Jason takes him, lightly scratches him, like in the scene that we see in the actual movie, like he just lightly scratches him, it cuts away, and Terry Kaiser's dead. It's like, you built up this machine that Jason's using, and you don't do anything with that. He's just like, zip, like a little slit, and then that's it. The guy's dead. In the unedited version you showed me, his guts actually spill out, and it looks a lot more painful and cooler. And a lot more satisfying.
Quick, but it's better.
Yeah, it's so much better. Again, little seconds are chipped away and it actively ruins the movie. It's fascinating. It's utterly fascinating to me. And it's a shame.
That's why it can't be too hard because, like, you know they wanted to do it, but they just couldn't because of the MPAA.
Yeah, so I get it. I totally get it.
It just makes the movie more disappointing, if anything.
But even then, like, there's still some pacing issues with the movie that I just can't get over. Because, again, like, I feel like we're just staying in the exact same spot. And it's like, okay, we have a girl with telekinesis. Do something with that, you know?
It's like the one thing that I can give this movie credit for is with Jason himself. Because there's 2 points to talk about with Jason here.
Please, yes.
One, let's talk about just his design in this movie is incredible.
So good.
It's like he is barely holding himself together at this point, but he's still ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
Like, his clothes are completely tattered. The mask is missing a chunk. You see, like, the side of his jaw just sticking out from his head the whole time.
You could see his back spine. Like,
yeah.
It's obviously fake, but you see it. Like, it's a detail that they add.
In the final battle, the mask breaks and he just has this awesome looking zombie face.
He looks like something out of Evil Dead. Like, it's amazing.
And also, notably, this is the first movie to have Kane Hodder as Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Kane Hodder is, for a lot of people, their favorite Jason, and he's the only one to have played Jason more than once. He played him in 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Nice. Yeah,
and like the way he actually plays Jason is great, because it's like he plays him less robotic. He like brings his whole head and shoulders into it just to make Jason look pissed off all the time.
Yeah. He's great. I love this Jason. I know we've been I don't know if you said it or if I heard it around, but like this being like the best Jason design, and I completely agree. It is a great Jason design. Like, probably the best out of all these movies, honestly. Which again is a shame considering the movie. But like, at least we get the best part of Jason and his costume design like in the climax, which is when the movie starts to pick back up again, when all these annoying teenagers have died and it's just Tina and Jason, and like it gets a bit samey of like Tina just like using her telekinesis to like throw shit at Jason, but like at least something, like at least she's using her powers, like you have a telekinetic character, let them use their powers, like if you're gonna include them in this stupid movie.
And she does kind of do it in the fight, at least. Not as well as you could have, but she does at least do stuff. Like, she sprays him with gasoline, lights him on fire, she throws a house on him.
Yeah, exactly. She throws nails at him, which are in the poster I use on Letterboxd.
I like how her opening kill is, I'm going to try to electrocute him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something. It's not the best, but it's something. Like that, if you're going to have a movie with a telekinetic character, that's the kind of shit I want to see in this movie. So yeah, when it actually does that, I'm on board for it. I actually kind of like what this movie does.
It's like, it's a reason people only really remember it for the opening and the ending.
Yeah, like I said, the beginning is wacky, the ending is even wackier, but the middle is just so on autopilot. Not a bad thing, not a great thing. It's just on autopilot.
And like, I know this is Rob's favorite. Apparently, I never really asked why it is, but like,
okay,
I'm gonna have to go against the grain here. This is the one I put at the bottom so far.
Okay, I mean, I'm still like, I do consider 8 worse, but that's just me. But again, we'll get to 8. But like, you know what? If not for 8, yes, I did put this under part 4 because, part 4 did have the Crispin Glover dance, which was amazing. But like,
cinema.
Yeah, but like at least part 4 was consistent throughout. Whereas like here, like I said, the great beginning, great ending, middle. Like that's the thing. It's like it's a little too in that middle. Sometimes you get kind of cool things. Like there's that scene where Eddie's like looking through all the presents and he's like penis enlarger and he opens it up. It's a magnifying glass. Great gag.
Right, I forgot about that. Great moment.
By the way, Eddie, played by voice actor Jeff Bennett.
Oh, I didn't know that name. What all was because he's on a lot.
Bradley Uppercrust III.
Oh,
that guy, one of the most recognizable voice actors. Like, look, I think he's a great voice actor, Jeff Bennett. But like when I hear his voice in anything, I'm like, oh, that's Jeff Bennett. And I hear him a lot in things. Look, he's very good. He's very talented. This was the first time I ever watched a movie and I went, huh? That was him? Because like, I can't imagine Bradley Uppercrust III's voice coming out of that face. I was amazed. Like, really? That's him? I'm still flabbergasted. That that's him.
Damn.
I know. I had to bring that up because that's an amazing factoid that I was blown away by that. It was amazing.
So you're saying we need the edit of Bradley Uppercross III saying personal penis enlarger.
Oh, please. It would be amazing. Someone needs to edit that, please.
Because Eddie's the guy who, he's an aspiring sci-fi writer, right?
Yes, he's the weirdo who's just... What a guy, indeed. Can we talk about the very ending when Tina summons the dead corpse of her dad from the depths of the water? He comes back, pulls Jason into the water, and then she faints. Apparently her dad's still alive in the water?
I think it's like she brought him back for that or something, but they don't really do it all that way. It's the most out of nowhere thing in the movie.
Yeah.
I know that's a bit wild to say that, that's the most out of place thing, but it just kind of happens, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It competes with the Pamela thing at the end of part 3.
It does, but at least
that has the excuse of that it might have been a dream. This just actually happened.
Yeah, this just actually happened. It was just, and plus she knows what her dad looks like, so that makes sense too.
Also, he's been in the water for all that time and looks exactly the same. Meanwhile, Jason has kind of been rotting away.
Yeah, I don't know. What were they thinking?
They weren't.
No, they weren't.
I gotta get the stats back out for this one.
Yeah, let's hear some stats.
There's the comic and the novels. Part 7, The New Blood, 2.8 million.
Okay.
Shot in Bayonet, Alabama, and Culver City, California.
I noticed that at the end during the credits, it's like, thank you to the Film Committee of Alabama or something. I'm like, they filmed this in Alabama? I mean, it does look very swampish there, so that I totally believe.
Box office, 19,170,001.
Wow.
So how is that comparable to the last movie?
Okay, so yeah, it's starting to plateau a bit, you can tell.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler, the next movie is the last one of the original Paramount run before they sold the rights to New Line.
Yeah, so you can definitely tell why. The timeline lines up, I can see.
But I guess there's not really that much more to say.
Yeah, unless there's do we have a favorite crazy moment and a favorite kill?
Favorite kill, I think the sleeping bag, I guess, is just the easiest one to say.
Sleeping bag is the easiest one to say.
It's the most fun.
Yeah. And in terms of crazy moments, I mean, the dad coming back and pulling Jason into the water, I would say that. Either that or literally just the existence of Tina being a telekinetic character for no reason.
I mean, if anything, I'd go more for just the foul mouth in and of itself.
Yeah. Part 7, again, the most autopilot thus far, except for the one thing that isn't very autopilot-ish.
Yeah. So anyway, we've had enough of Crystal Lake, honestly. It's getting really old. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to New York.
Yeah. Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, because everyone knows that Crystal Lake connects to the ocean.
So that raises a lot of questions. I'm just going to say.
Questions we don't care enough to answer.
Yeah, but okay, how did they connect? So it's not a lake then, right? Because it connects to the ocean?
If anything, it'd be Crystal Bay at this point.
Exactly. It's
the answer is don't think about it.
You didn't need for Jason to be on the teenager's boat. You could have just walked there to the other boat. Because
I guess technically speaking, it's we've also known that he's left Crystal Lake before, in part 2 in the beginning.
Yeah. So it's not entirely out of the ordinary.
I still just like the image in my head that we just see Jason, old man farmer Jason, on a Greyhound bus to California and then back.
Yeah, that is objectively hilarious.
Honestly, though, originally when the director pitched the premise, he didn't even pitch New York. He just said, "Can we take Jason out of Crystal Lake? Maybe we can put in a big city." And the producer just went, "Oh, Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh, that's brilliant."
Yeah.
And then he envisioned all these different things taking advantage of of New York. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to New York at the end of Act 1. It's gonna be completely exploited and milked. There's gonna be a scene in the Brooklyn Bridge, a boxing match in Madison Square Garden. He's gonna go to Broadway and department stores. He goes on top of the Statue of Liberty, and then Paramount said, yeah, you're gonna have like $4 million in film in New York for like a week. And that's the entire problem with the movie.
So, yeah, this is when my patience were kind of thinning the most. So, here's the thing. What you just described of Jason going to all these places in New York, this sounds like it could have been my absolute favorite movie in the entire franchise. Like,
and
this
then
sounds
you find
amazing.
And then you find out New York is incredibly expensive to film in.
Of course it is. It's New fucking York. Like, I get that.
So it went from Act 1 will be on the boat and then the rest of it in New York to, okay, half and half. And then it went to, okay, we're on the boat for most of the movie now.
Yeah.
Whoops. And we can only shoot in New York for 2 days and the rest is in Vancouver.
Yeah. That is the biggest problem with the movie. Jason does not, in fact, take Manhattan. Now, he
takes a subway.
He takes a subway in Manhattan. That's the most taking he does in this movie. Now, look, you do bring up a very good point in your Letterboxd review and saying, okay, yes, he's not in Manhattan for most of the movie. He's on a boat. That still could make for an interesting horror movie, Jason on a boat. And I agree. But even then, I'm not a fan of the boat because, much like last movie, I'm not a fan of these characters we're around with most of the time. And that's my biggest thing. Like, okay, he's not in Manhattan for most of the movie. Fine. I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm not. But considering the movie, I'm fine with him being on a boat. Some of the boat kills are very good, actually. I like a lot of the boat kills.
That's what saves it for me.
Yeah, no. So I do sympathize with what you say in your Letterboxd review. How it's like, okay, this movie, we don't have Jason looking at the Empire State Building for the 7th time.
I just saw a hawk fly past my window, based.
You don't see that in New York.
You don't see the Twin Towers anymore either.
No. Aww. Well, see, that's the thing.
We did it. 9/11 joke.
Well, if this movie's supposed to take place in the 2000s, considering the timeline.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Jason was an inside job. Mr. President, Jason Voorhees attacked the South Tower. I can't believe they're going to have the next movie where Jason goes to Washington. Mr. President, he hit the Pentagon. Jason on the Pentagon.
Oh, what will he do?
Everything.
Probably kill people, mostly.
Guys, Mr. President, Jason Voorhees has the launch codes. Luckily, he can't read. But
he's bound to get it sometime. He's just been smashing the computer. He's just smashing the keypad.
Basically, that's what he usually does.
Yeah. But you do raise a good point in your Letterboxd review where you say, like, okay, it's New York. Like, literally every movie takes place in New York. And I think I remember I might be making this up, but I think, like, when I was on Shiny Cast, when we were talking about Soul, you made it a point to point out that, like, even though that movie takes place in New York, it doesn't focus on the Empire State Building at all. Like,
yeah, like it doesn't really go to any of the touristy areas. It just kind of like the actual part of New York people live in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so refreshing.
Yeah, and this movie's kind of similar. Like, you don't see Jason going to the big. You don't see him going to the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building or the Twin Towers.
Which you were supposed to.
Yeah, like if anything, he just goes to Times Square.
And like I agree that is disappointing because like this would have been so much better if it did take more advantage of it. It's just that more like I understand why it doesn't. It's still disappointing, but like I still like enough of the material that's here that it saves it because like. Oh, we see a lot of things we haven't seen before. Oh, Jason kills someone by shoving hot coals down their chest.
That's a good scene.
The electric guitar kill, the scene like in the dance hall where like she's spinning around and doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
The guy falls down and gets impaled.
Yeah. That's the thing is like I would agree because like those are the highlights for me. Like those are good scenes in and of themselves. It's just that the stuff in between is a little less fun. Like again, we get another huge snobby bitch character in this movie who's not likable in the slightest, yet we spend a lot of time with her. which one was her? She was Tamara. She like hits on her teacher and tries to blackmail him, and that scene goes nowhere. Like, you remember that? Like how she hired Wayne to like film themselves.
Yeah, because they both die.
Yeah, because they both die. So like it doesn't go anywhere. But the movie spends a lot of time on that, and it's like, because like she's making out with Charles, and Charles like is making out with her for 30 seconds, and then he goes, "Hey, wait, stop this," which was funny, but like not in the way I think the movie thinks it's funny, you know?
Right. No, I don't disagree with you on any of this.
Yeah,
I just think that the part where Jason shoves hot coals down someone's throat and then kills somebody bashing a guitar in the head is funny.
yeah, no, and I don't disagree with you on that either. Like, I completely agree. Those are great scenes. I think because this is part 8, like, it's starting to catch up to me. The fact that, like, we're 8 movies into this franchise. Like, by the time it's like, okay, I've seen
Don't worry,
this.
by the end of the month, we'll be in 12 deep.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, like, I'm not even going to say, like, this movie doesn't have occasionally great scenes. Like, if we want to talk about our favorite kills and favorite scene, like crazy moments in this movie, this is probably a movie with a twofer for me, because the boxing scene with Jason, that is both one of my favorite kills and probably my favorite crazy moment. So
all right, I'm good. He just fucking starts boxing with him, just hitting him in the head multiple times, and body blows. It goes for like a full minute.
Yeah.
So he's just completely tired out. Like, all right, motherfucker, give me your best shot.
Yeah. And then
bet.
Completely knocks Julius's head completely off his body, rolls down into a dumpster. The dumpster closes. Mwah. Like, it's a scene that goes on for a long time. It is essentially the coffee making scene in the first movie, but
it has a punchline this time.
This one has a punchline. This one has
Literally.
a point. This one actually ties into the movie. Like, it's amazing. Like,
because it's already set up that he's a boxer.
Yeah, exactly. It sets up that he's a boxer early on, and so then he goes in and starts punching, and he doesn't lay a dent on Jason. That's the funniest part. And what's funny is that Jason just lets him like punch him for a minute. It's so funny because like that is like at this point Jason would let that. Like if this was early movie Jason, like after the first punch, Jason would go right for him, but he's just like, you know what? Take your best shot, kid. And
if anything, he's confused. Like, really, you're doing this?
Yeah, he's confused. Like, you do know I can just punch your head off in one foul swoop.
Didn't you guys shoot me in the chest earlier?
Yeah.
You really think this is gonna work?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. That's what I wish the whole movie was like that one scene. Like, that's what I wanted out of this movie. Like, less of Charles, the teacher, making out with an underage student and more of this, you know?
It's like, if anything, this might just have some of the best Jason moments. It's just...
I agree.
It's a shame that they couldn't do what they wanted to do.
No, I agree. I agree. And I understand completely that they couldn't. Like the last movie. Like, I sympathize with, you know, it getting butchered because of the studio or because of the MPA, because of higher-ups, like, tampering with the movie.
It doesn't fix it,
it
but
doesn't
you
fix
understand.
it. Exactly. I completely 100% understand.
You know, I'm completely in the minority on this movie. I get that.
Yeah. Even then, like, I still had fun with it. Like, I still think what it does, like, when he actually does get to New York, the first joke they do is he sees an advertisement for a hockey mask. The movie doesn't really
looks at the camera.
He doesn't really have the scene doesn't really even have a punchline, but like, I'm glad they put that scene in because it's just so funny because like, it's just there. Like
he just sees Jason like getting out on the block, and then he just pauses, looks at something, tilts his head confused, and then you see he's looking at the hockey advertisement, and then Jason turns back around to look at the camera.
Yeah, that's where the movie shines. Like moments like that.
If only they could have done that the whole movie like they wanted to.
Exactly.
This is like the movie that I would love to see them try to do again with an actual budget to match.
Yeah, if anything. Like, and I remember you were saying like Scream 6, which I haven't seen yet, so I can't judge it, but you were saying like it also takes place in New York, but it somehow uses New York less than
because it's
this
like
movie?
It just takes place in New York. It feels like they're not taking full advantage of actually being in the Big Apple. It's like, we have our subway scene, and to be fair, their subway scene's better than the subway scene in here, but it's like, it doesn't really feel like it matters. it feels like these characters have already lived in New York for years, that they just don't give a shit anymore, when, no, they've canonically only been there for, like, 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I love the subway scene in this movie. Like, it's not as good as the subway scene in Faust, but like, you know, it's a subway scene where like, you know, the characters are just running through. Jason's walking up to them. They pull the emergency brake, and all the New Yorkers are like, "What the fuck, man? This isn't my stop." Like, that's funny. Like,
And just no one gives a shit that this big swampy dude wearing a hockey mask is hulking around chasing these guys, because it's like, this is just our normal Tuesday.
This is just normal Tuesday in New York. Exactly. Like, that's the kind of shit, like, when you think Jason Takes Manhattan. Like, scenes like that. Scenes like when Jason's walking through Times Square and he kicks that radio that the punks are listening to. And
hey, you're dead meat. Turns
Yeah.
around, says nothing, lifts up his mask, puts it back down, and the kids just run away.
Yeah, that is like, again, that's a scene, that's another scene like the punching scene. Like, that is purely one of the best Jason scenes I've seen in any of these movies, because it's in a part 8. Like, that scene only works as well as it does because this is part 8, because he's done so much killing and he's focused on these two, and he's like, you know what, you punks are not worth it, just look at my face, and walks away. And it works.
Did you watch the clip I sent you earlier in the week where he's on Arsenio Hall?
Yes, I did. So you sent me the Arsenio Hall clip and the teaser for Muppets Take Manhattan. Freudian
it's an incredible
slip.
trailer.
It is a great trailer because it's just Jason looking at the New York skyline, and then he like turns around. It's just like, it's me, bitches. But yes, I did watch the Arsenio Hall clip. Amazing. Like, I wish talk shows were that funny nowadays.
You got a clip? You want to set it up?
Yeah, and he's just
because it's Jason and he doesn't talk.
It's so funny. Like, that's like that is an amazing clip. Like,
it's like the guy just couldn't believe. He's like, we have our special guest today from the new movie, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason.
Yeah.
And then Kane Hodder in full costume just walks on stage, sits down, and says absolutely nothing the whole time.
It's so good. Such a good clip. Again, I wish talk shows were that funny now. I mean, I don't watch modern talk shows because why the fuck would I? But like, I can already tell they are not as funny as that one clip. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, we've failed as a species the moment we've stopped having characters in talk shows. When was the last time Kermit was on a talk show?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Deadpool was on Stephen Colbert. Maybe. Again,
that sounds like the death knell of it.
I don't watch these talk shows, so I don't actually know. I'm just going off of what I think I know. Oh, but to go back to the times when Kermit the Frog gets shot on Conan O'Brien, like, we need that back, damn it.
But yeah, it's like the small moments for me at least work enough that like it makes it more fun enough.
Yeah. So let's talk about the hot coal death scene. Like, that's a great scene. Like, so the boxer. So I want to establish. So this is a cruise ship they're on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like it looked like just some normal like tanker, but then there's like a spa, then there's like a dance hall and a hotel
Damn, it's
room.
almost as if it was just a random tanker they could afford, and then they had different sets or something.
Okay. So anyway, he's in the spa on the tanker, and he's just like, and Jason just walks in, and the guy thinks like, oh, it's you, Julius. How was, good boxing match, man? And Jason just takes a hot coal and shoves it in the dude's stomach. I mean, like, it's great. That's creative. I like that scene. Then there's like you said, the Eva scene where like Eva's like running around the dance hall and she can't escape, and then Jason comes up to her and completely chokes her. By the way, Eva, I know I've been doing this a lot where I'm just like, hey, this character is played by this person. She's played by Stacy from Phineas and Ferb. That's for all you Phineas and Ferb fans out there.
Hey, it's like a thing that to note is that a lot of people got their start in horror across the board. Like directors, like Spielberg started with Duel and Jaws. You have all these other actors who like got their start doing bit parts in Corman movies, and then they become huge stars later on.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating.
Everyone starts somewhere.
It's fascinating looking at some of these actors, because like the majority of actors I scroll through on Letterboxd when it comes to these movies will mostly just be in like this one Friday the 13th movie and then maybe a Friday the 13th documentary. Or some like TV horror movie, if anything else.
And then there's like, at least each movie has like that one guy who was in everything after that.
Yeah, like Kevin Bacon, like Crispin Glover, like Corey Feldman, like Jeff Bennett for some reason. Like, yeah, like the one person always sticks out. It's always fascinating every time. But yeah, that was a cool kill. There was there was the guitar, like that we hinted at last episode. It was well worth it, I will agree. When the girl's just playing the guitar and then Jason just takes it and completely smashes her head in. It's as good as a scene described as Jason taking a guitar and smashing a person's head with it, you know?
Yeah. I think we're running out of things to say.
I mean, yeah, because again, like I said, the first 2/3 of the movie are just occasionally a really cool kill interspersed with this boring main character. Like, Rennie is not interesting. I'm sorry, Rennie is not interesting. You had Tommy in the last few movies, then you had Tina, who's really only interesting because she has telekinesis. What does this girl have? She
apparently saw Jason as a kid in the lake many years ago.
For some reason, yeah, because her uncle Charles, who's just a terrible person and a terrible teacher, just pushed her in.
When did this happen in the timeline?
Because, like, Jason was a kid.
So this is before the first movie now?
But
where was Pamela?
She's a teenager. Like, it makes no sense. I will give this movie the minuscule amount of credit above Part 3, though, because unlike Part 3, I can understand why her encounter with Jason was so traumatizing. Whereas
she was at least like she was 5.
She was 5. She was pulled under the water. Like,
her parents were already dead at that point. She was with her guardian.
She has a fear of water. Like, I get it. Like, okay, I understand why you have a fear of water. You almost drowned being pulled by the spirit of Jason, maybe, probably. Like, I don't know. It's something more than just, I met Jason once. Nothing happened. Like, again, I give at least this movie, there's something to that first encounter with Jason.
It's just that it makes absolutely no sense.
It makes absolutely
no sense. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We kill Jason by throwing toxic waste on him. It's fine. He turns back into a child for some reason.
Okay. Is that what happens?
That's the implication because it's the same little boy.
Yeah. Why? Like, why is that the ending of this movie? He turns back into a boy? And also,
it's okay. He's an adult again next time.
Is it explained why he's an adult? You know what? I want to be disappointed by myself. Okay.
No. You think they were going to explain that? No.
I mean, I had a little bit of hope.
No. Just ignore it.
Just ignore it.
I'm not saying this movie's good. I'm just saying I like it.
No, I completely understand. Do you even like when the subtitles screwed up? I don't know if I sent this to you, but like there was a scene where like it's when they first get to New York and Charles is just like, wonderful choice of place to dock a boat, Mr. Robertson, except the subtitles do not say Mr. Robertson, they say Mr. Robeflson. Like it's spelled Robeflson. I'm like, oh.
Only the best from Paramount Pictures.
Scream Factory, what are you doing?
You know, they actually did send reissue some discs at some point, but this was not one of them.
No.
And it was like some very minor things, like the 3D version of Part 3 had like a minor encoding error in like the title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was like a cut that was left off for Part 9. And there was something, I think like an encoding thing on Jason X that you get replacement discs for. I don't know if they fixed that in later versions of it, but like minor stuff you probably wouldn't even notice on your first time.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the subtitles, so I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, look, I appreciate when companies will send replacement discs. I got a replacement Showgirls disc, even though I didn't ask for one. It's a matter of
it shouldn't have needed to have been a thing in the first place.
Yeah, but like, you know what? I kind of like that the subtitle screwed up. Like, that is objectively funny to me. So like, I'm fine with having the original disc.
It's like the guy making the subtitles got killed by Jason during it.
Yeah, so I'm completely fine with that. I will say, like I've been saying, I fucking hate Charles. He's not a fun character. Like, even as far as like stuck up snooty characters who are just like, Jason Voorhees is not real. Like, I don't know. It just got old after a while. Like, it was annoying in part 6, but like at least there was a reason for him to not believe Tommy. Whereas like here, I don't know. After a while, it just got old. And Charles was not a fun character, unlike the cop dad, who was a fun character in part 6, at least.
I forget, how did he die again?
Oh, he gets thrown into a vat of New York sludge with a dead rat floating in it. Like, there's literally a dead rat floating in the New York piss green water. And Jason just drowns him in it. It's a good death. It's no Julius getting his head knocked off, but it's still pretty good.
And you can also tell, like just to do the Coroner's Report here, production budget $5 million. Oof.
Okay,
like that's the biggest they've had so far.
But
remember,
not big
New
enough.
York.
Yeah, not big enough for New York. Yes.
And you can also tell, like, when they're in Times Square, you'll see some advertisements for Batman '89.
Oh yeah.
Which is just a fun detail.
I mostly just noticed McDonald's and Burger King in the same shot, which I thought was pretty funny.
Because New York.
Because New York.
But U.S. box office, the lowest yet, 14 million, whatever.
Oof.
So it's like, at this point, we're still turning a profit.
But if they're asking for us to film in New York, we want nothing to do with it anymore. It's like, okay, Paramount. So yeah,
because even by then it's like we're starting to get like because at this point what a slasher has basically completely changed.
Yeah,
like the movie's gradual shift you can see, but like part 1 to part 8 is a completely different movie.
Oh yes, very much so. Part 8 is a very different movie to part 1. Like,
not even just in New York stuff, but just in general.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more goofiness to it. There's a lot more like emphasis on like, you know, characters dying in like really weird ways, as opposed to part 1, which was very standard. Like, again, I describe part 1 as very standard when it comes to the slasher genre, whereas like part 8,
but that's also notably that was when the slasher genre was really starting in America.
Exactly.
Whereas this was 89.
Yeah, they're used
we
to
had
it
everything.
Exactly.
So at this point it's like, okay, we're not really turning a profit because people can get this anywhere now. We're losing steam here.
Yeah.
What more can we do? Well, Sean wants to produce again and get Freddy versus Jason off the ground. He's going to work with Wes again. Oh, cool. We'll sell the rights to New Line.
Okay, yeah.
And that's a story for another day.
That's a story for another episode. But we did it. We talked about the first 8 Paramount movies, so that was something.
So how do you feel now that you've had most of your experience?
It's been a lot, but even though I was not a fan of part 8 as much as the other ones, that is mostly due to the fact that it was part 8. Like, at this point, the charming nature has kind of faded away, and it's like, okay, occasionally there's a cool scene, but the boring stuff just really gets to me after a while. But even then, it's not like this was like, you know, the first time these movies like were bad. Like, again, this is not that much different than what we've been getting thus far. Like, it's all relatively in the same realm, you know?
And it's like, it also stands to reason, like, oh, we binge these this time. Things might change, rewatch them later on separately.
Exactly. But I will say part 8 is no Muppets Take Manhattan. That's how I'll end the part 8 discussion. It's no Muppets Take Manhattan.
Sandwich.
So you know what, William, enjoy your sandwich, because unfortunately, even though part 3 is supposed to come next after part 2,
You have more important matters for the next episode.
Because next episode's episode 69. And as funny as it would be to talk about, Friday the 13th on episode 69, I have something even funnier planned. So, be on the lookout for that, folks. William, anything to say before we wrap up part 2?
I mean, when we do get back for the final batch of things, we're in somewhat more, in quite different territory. And one of these is a movie that I haven't even watched yet because I just kind of avoided it. So that's going to be fun. It's also literally the next one.
Nice.
Because next up is the New Line / Warner Brothers era.
Ah, interesting. Well,
so we're in the 90s and the 2000s now.
Yeah.
Oh joy.
Oh boy. The 90s and the 2000s. If only there was a movie that connected the two in such a weird way that really encapsulated everything late 90s, early 2000s.
In a way that gets you hot.
In a way that gets you hot. Oh.
Too bad it's fall, so it's not hot anymore.
No, it's cold now.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean Christmas takes place in the summer in Australia? What the fuck? The Christmas palm in Australia. Hell yeah. See you guys in like 2 episodes from now.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be bye. Just